So the suspect, Vance Bolter, he had rented a room here at this property for several years while he was doing jobs in the Minneapolis area. Main family home, I'm told, is in the Green Isle area. Around 6 a.m. this morning, roommates say that they received a text message from him saying something to the effect of, "I've made some bad choices. I don't want to implicate you, but I may be dead soon," something to that effect. He then walked to the back of the home where it's an alleyway back there, so that's where the cars are parked. And there was some sort of vehicle inside there. They said that he had a hammer and that he broke out one of the windows to the car, so maybe trying to make it seem like there was like a car break-in, trying to divert something like that. That'll happen around 6 a.m. this morning. That image that law enforcement has been publicizing of him in the cowboy hat, that, according to the roommates, is from the surveillance cameras here at the home. So, presumably after the attacks on Hortman and Hoffman, he came back to this location, and now kind of a clearer picture as to why this was the subject of that SWAT operation earlier today is coming into focus.
Welcome to another edition of the Truth Zone. As always, this is your host, Truth Seeker here. And the situation in Minnesota is very bizarre regarding this shooting. Now this, what you are seeing on screen, is the alleged shooter. And this is some very bizarre stuff. As you can see here on screen, he is wearing a latex mask and he is posing as a cop. And everything surrounding this incident doesn't make much sense to me when you begin to look into everything. When you begin to research everything, this seems more and more likely like another one of their events that they love to do in order to distract everybody. Also, in order to blame it on certain groups of people. And I will get into that here in a second. But this is the alleged shooter, Vance Bolter. And again, this situation makes no sense at all. Everything surrounding this situation is very, very strange. And I guess you can add this to the list of bizarre and strange things going on, because anymore, every time you turn around, there is always something bizarre happening. Case in point, on the left, this is Vance Bolter, and on the right, this is supposed to be Vance Bolter. And what do you notice about these two images? Man, it looks like the person on the right has a large amount of weight off, right? Compared to the person on the left. Now, you tell me what is going on here, because from my viewpoint, this seems like two different people. That's probably why the person on the right chose to wear this creepy looking latex mask, almost reminiscent of Michael Myers or something like that. So again, you tell me what is going on. He was posing as a cop, and then here you can see where he was even thanking police officers at one point. He seemed like a really good guy, right? On the surface level, he seemed like a really good guy. So my question then becomes, what is really going on here? This really seems like another psyop that these people love to do. And that's just, again, from my vantage point. And I would not be surprised if this person right here ends up being unalived at some point. It really would not surprise me at all, because that is usually the case. But something else bizarre about all of this is, supposedly, this guy had No Kings flyers in his car. His car was filled with these flyers. So that in and of itself is very bizarre. And again, once you begin to research everything, and even that opening clip from the news, in and of itself is very strange and very bizarre. Everything surrounding this story, from my viewpoint, makes little to no sense. It really doesn't. Does anybody else feel this way, or am I the only one? Again, something bizarre is going on here with this incident in Minnesota that unalived a lawmaker and her husband. And then John Hoffman, the other individual that was shot at, and his wife survived. Now, this was supposedly the same person that did both of these shootings. And here's some more bizarre stuff. Apparently, he was involved with a group known as Red Lion. And what is very bizarre about that is because there's more of that lion symbolism, right? Because Israel just recently, their operation is called Operation Rising Lion, right? And then you have the new Pope, Pope Leo, which is associated with a lion. So again, you tell me what's going on when you see these pictures right here on screen. I mean, honestly, something really seems off about all of this, at least from my viewpoint. Maybe you disagree entirely, and maybe all of this is legit. Maybe, just maybe, or maybe there is something more going on here. I am just asking the questions because usually when something like this happens, there is something darker behind all of it. There is. And that's just from me looking at everything. And I'm trying to be as careful as possible because this platform, unfortunately, and I will just leave it at that. So I'm trying to weave around my wording. I don't mean to self-censor or anything like that, but you've got to pick and choose your words in order to try and get the truth out. But look at this right here. A Facebook profile under the suspected shooter's name was briefly viewed by Wired before it was taken down. His profile had shown him liking several evangelical missionary organizations. He also liked the Alliance Defending Freedom, a conservative legal advocacy against unaliving of babies. This man was supposedly a big-time Christian at that. So do you see where all of this is going now? And do you see why something isn't sitting right with me regarding this? Because here we go again. And honestly, I believe this is more ways that they are going to use stuff like this to come after Christians. That is just my honest opinion from my viewpoint, because why else would they portray him in such a way, right? Why else would he be portrayed in such a way? This also seems like some kind of mind control, MK Ultra or something like that. I don't really know, but there is something very off-putting about this story. There is something very bizarre about all of this. The fact that he was a Christian, allegedly. I mean, come on, that is just very, very strange. At least from my viewpoint, that is very, very strange. Everything surrounding this is very bizarre. Do any of you find this bizarre besides me? Because I know I can't be the only one to find this story to be odd. Nothing about this story adds up at all. And that's, again, just from me trying to put the puzzle pieces together. And also, he apparently had ties to Tim Walz at that. Apparently, he was a former appointee of Tim Walz. So, again, something really doesn't seem right about any of this. There's a lot of mixed stories, mixed messages going on with this story. A lot of weird things. And I just wanted to make a video about this because this situation does seem very bizarre and it reeks of a psyop. As always, what do you all think about this? As always, please consider liking this video, commenting down below. If you are new to the channel, please consider subscribing to the channel and selecting all notifications so you will never miss another upload on the channel. As always, this is your host, Truth Seeker, signing out.